Hi guys, it's Ali. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing a card making tutorial using a new technique to me that I really love. It's super easy, doesn't use too many supplies, and there's a ton of different ways you can use it. There's not even any masking or cutting out involved, which is amazing. I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, please give it a big thumbs up. If you like card making and papercraft videos and lots of hauls, then I think you'll really enjoy my channel and I'd love to have you subscribe. Let's get into the video and start making this card. I'm starting out with a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock to do my blending on, and for this blend I'm going to be using Distress Oxides in the shade Tumbled Glass and Ripe Persimmon, which is one of my favourite colour combinations at the moment. The brushes I like to use when I'm doing my ink blending are a set from Amazon. They're just a set of makeup brushes, and this rose gold one is actually from Wilko's. There's not really any difference between the two apart from one set is a bit cheaper, and the Wilko's one looks a bit more glamorous. I am blending on my Tonic Mixed Media Matte, which I really like because it is heat proof, so I don't need to worry about melting it. I'm going to do some heat embossing later, so being able to not have to think about whether I need to change surfaces is really good. As I'm blending the other side, the blue shade is still wet, so I'm using a bit of sticky tape on my fingers just so I can hold the piece of cardstock in place. You can also use a bit of sticky tape underneath your card panel to stick it to your mat if you want to, but I just forgot to do that, so the sticky tape trick works really well. I'm just blending the two shades onto the cardstock. The orange and the blue don't necessarily get a really smooth transition between the colours. It's easier if you blend from the blue side, so that's what I'm doing, but I'm not really worrying about getting like a super smooth blend with these two colours because they're quite different, so I'm just kind of meeting them in the middle. And then I'm going to do a little bit of distressing on the blend. You don't have to do this, you can just leave it smooth if you prefer the look, but I just thought why not. So I'm just using a bit of water and dripping it onto the cardstock. I'm getting quite big blobs here, so I'm going to do some smaller ones in a minute. I'm going to leave that a little bit to react with the water, and then I'm going to use a microfiber cloth just to lift away the excess liquid because it's quite thin cardstock, so you don't want loads of water because it will go all warped. I'm just flicking a few little dots on just so I get a little bit more variation in the splatter, and then that's the card panel done. Well, the base card panel anyway. I'm going to leave this one to dry overnight and we're going to travel forwards in time. Ta-da! It's now the next day. It's all nice and dry, so I don't need to worry about smudging it. I'm going to use this stamp set from Clearly Besotted. I haven't used this stamp set before, and I don't know why, because I really like it. I've had it for ages. I've just lined up all of my cactus stamps there on the panel, and I'm then going to stamp these with VersaFine Onyx Black, which is like my favourite black ink. It just goes perfectly every time. I'm using my Tim Holtz and Tonic stamping platform, which is what I always use to do my stamping, just because I couldn't stamp in exactly the same place again. I don't know if this is still available in the UK. I think they've maybe phased it out a little bit, but if I can find a link to it, I'll put it in the description box. I always try and link all of the products I use in my videos in the description box, so if you want to go and shop them, you can always go and check down there, or if you miss the name of something in the video, it's down there in the description box for you. And then I'm going to heat emboss these because I didn't want to wait for the VersaFine ink to dry, so just to make sure that it doesn't smudge because it is a pigment ink, I'm going to use Wow Clear Gloss embossing powder just over the top of all my elements. This will make sure they're really nice and black and shiny and clean, and it stops me having to wait for it to dry. So I've just sprinkled that with the embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat set it with my heat gun. So I like to start doing heat embossing from the back of the panel to try and minimize warping, but then I always finish it off from the front so that you can see they're going nice and glossy and black now as that embossing powder melts. I love using embossing powder. I really don't do it enough. Because I'm always too lazy to get all the supplies out. I feel like you have to get a lot of stuff out to do heat embossing, so I always just avoid doing it. But I'm always really pleased with the results when I do it, so I should just do it more often. It's not that much effort to get it out, really. So that's part of the card panel. I really wanted some extra cactuses just on the edges of the panel, so they went off the sides, and I couldn't fit the whole panel and stamp it all at the same time into my stamping platform in one go, so I just did the last two separately and stamped them again with VersaFine Onyx Black, and then heat embossed them with the clear embossing powder again. I really like the colour combo on this. This card is actually made for my stepdad for his birthday. He really likes cactuses and like houseplants and succulents and stuff like that, so I really wanted to make him a card with these on. I thought it was really adorable. It's quite hard to make more of a masculine card. I think it's really easy to make feminine ones. So now I'm going to do the colouring. I have left all the colouring in so you can see how it works. I'm using mostly Faber-Castell Polychromos, but I think you could definitely use Prismacolors on these, or if you've got any other sets, I'd definitely give it a go, because I did use some cheaper pencils when I was doing my colouring in this, and they also worked really well. So it wasn't just the Faber-Castell Polychromos. I used some AliExpress pencils and some, I think I even used a Crayola one, and it worked just fine. So definitely give it a go if you can. I will say that the colours are more true over the lighter ink colours, so if you really want the colours to be exactly the same as they are in your pencil, then I would go for like the pale blues, the pale pinks, maybe like the pale yellows for your background. But you'll be able to see as I colour this in, the coloured pencils do show up over the orange as well. You can essentially use most colours. I probably wouldn't recommend doing like a really dark brown or a purple or a navy, but you could definitely try it. You would probably just get a more muted effect. So I wanted to use a really bright orange on this card just to demonstrate that the colours do work over the darker colours. I was actually really pleased to find this, because I do really like making one layer cards, but when you have to do the whole masking and everything, I just find that a little bit of a pain, and I can't always be bothered to cut out the masks for all of them. This is just a nice one. You don't really have to think too much about this technique. It does take me quite a long time to colour all of these in. I've sped this up 6 times. I wanted to leave it all in so you could see the full process. So let's have a chat. What has been going on? So I don't know if you guys noticed, but I actually hit 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel last week, so I'm so excited. Thank you so much to everybody that has subscribed and liked and commented on my videos. It's so encouraging getting all those comments from you guys saying that you enjoyed it and telling me what you want to see next. I really appreciate every little comment that people leave me, and it's just super nice. So reaching 1,000 subscribers on my channel means that I can now have ads on my videos, which maybe doesn't sound as positive to you as it does to me, but essentially what it means is I can start earning a little bit of money from my YouTube videos, which means that I can now dedicate a little bit more time to working on my YouTube videos. I do already put a lot of time and energy into making my YouTube videos, and one video can take me anywhere between 3 and 15 hours to make. It really does vary depending on what is in the video, but yeah, I've definitely spent 15, maybe 20 hours making videos for my channel before. Editing takes a very long time. Luckily, I do have professional editing training, because I did actually go to university and study film and media production, so I know a lot of it already, but I do it because I love it for you guys, and I really want to make really great content that you guys love watching. But because I work full time and I run my own business, being able to earn a little bit of money from my YouTube means that I can sort of rationalize spending more and more time on it and putting out the videos, and plus it's super encouraging as well. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that has subscribed. It's just really nice to know that you enjoy my videos and that you find them useful and entertaining. I watch a lot of YouTube videos myself, and to be able to join in with the community and reach so many people is just really wonderful. So as I've said about 5 or 6 times already in this video, thank you so much. What else has been going on? I recently passed my 3-month probation at my new job. I started a new job last year in November, so I really love that job, and I've got really great colleagues. Yeah, I'm really pleased to be working there and to have managed to find a new job during the pandemic, and that I can still be, you know, here and not have to worry about money, which is lovely. It's a very grateful thing to be able to do. I've also been planning a few upcoming videos, so thank you to everybody who left a comment on my last AliExpress haul telling me that they would like to see the video where I give you all my tips and tricks for shopping on AliExpress. That is definitely in the works. That is quite a big video for me to make, and I really want to make it super informative for you guys, so I have to do a lot of planning and a lot of figuring out what goes in what order and collating all the questions together, making sure I answer everything. So I promise that is coming. That will probably be coming in the next few weeks. I'm hoping to film it next weekend, but then there's quite a lot of editing involved in that as well, so look out for that. I've also got quite a few AliExpress products that I want to try out on the channel for you guys. So there are some metallic watercolors that I want to test, and also a lot of you said that you would like to see how I would use wax seals on a card, so that is going to be a video that's going to be coming soon as well. 2 more videos videos that I'm working on. One is different ways to use the tonic embellishment mousse. So that video is almost finished. So hopefully that should be up within the next week or so. And then the last video that I have in the works is I was really lucky to be invited to the press launch last week of a new brand from Crafter's Companion. So I'm doing a whole video on what is in that launch, kind of behind the scenes, what it was like at the press launch, because I thought that would be really interesting to share with you guys, and then a look at all the products as well. I think it's a really exciting launch and something a little bit different from Crafter's Companion, so I'm quite excited to share that one. Ooh, okay, so now we're all caught up on everything that is going on. I'm just going to finish off this card. I have to trim down the panel slightly first just to sort of neaten up the edges and make sure that the images just reach the edge of the panel, and then I'm going to mount it onto a piece of craft cardstock just to give it a little bit of a matte. And I'm using a 5x7" card base as well for this card. I was originally actually going to make this into a slimline card, but I quite like the look of it with a sort of stripe of colour at the top and bottom, so I just went with that. You know, it's easier to just use a card base that I have in the stash rather than make one, so I do tend to reach for the ready-made ones more often than folding my own. It's just, you know, I just get to the end and I just want to finish the card and get it done. Don't know if any of you guys are like that. So we just need to trim down the mat now as well. I never measure anything, so I always just do it by eye, so I end up having to trim every layer of the card several times. Is anybody else like that? I just don't want to do maths. I don't make cards to do maths, and anytime I actually have to do any sort of maths, I just get really annoyed. So I'm just mounting the panel on the card now, and it's slightly too short to reach the edge, so I just need to trim one final sliver off the side. This is my favourite little trimmer that you see in all my videos. This is the Tonic mini guillotine. I actually got a nice big guillotine for Christmas that my boyfriend bought me, a big 12x12 one, so I have been using that as well, but for trimming things like this I just prefer this one because it's nice and small and sharp and just gets the job done really well. So that's the card finished. I'm just going to stamp inside. I wanted to add a few more of these little cactus guys inside the card and with a happy birthday message. So this is another stamp set from Clearly Besotted. All the stamps in this video are from Clearly Besotted. I haven't counted how many stamp sets I have, but it is probably at least 100. They just make so many nice ones. It's really hard to resist. I'm stamping that in VersaFine Onyx Black again, just so it matches on the front of the card. It always just comes out really, really nice when I use that ink. So I just love using it for sentiments and detailed images. And then finally, I'm just going to add a little bit of a flair to the front of the envelope, again with the stamps from this stamp set. I just got really into doing this lately. I think it's just fun, you know, when you get a card in the mail, people always know it's from me because it's got something on the outside of it. So I'm using VersaFine inks again. I'm just using two different colors of green. I've started with a lighter color on most of the stamp, and then I'm going to use the darker color just to kind of across the bottom of the images on the pots and slightly up onto the cactuses. Just, you know, something a little bit different. I've really been enjoying doing this recently and just kind of doing some ink blending on the stamp with my inks, and I've done it with Memento and VersaFine and it's worked really, really well. So yeah, so that is the card finished and we're all done. Here's another look at the finished card. I'm really pleased with how it came out. These Clearly Besotted stamps work perfectly for this technique, but you could use any stamps you love to colour in. Just before we go, I want to show you another example of this technique. I recently made this floral card using distress oxides in picked raspberry, spun sugar and tumbled glass, and I really, really love how this one turned out too. I really hope you'll try this technique, and if you do, please let me know. Leave me a comment below, or you can tag me in your creations on Instagram. I'd love to see if you try this. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!